For 4 years, the FBI hunted a phantom, a killer who vanished without a trace. On March 15, 2019, the FBI added Marcus Holloway to their 10 most wanted list. The charges against the 34-year-old former Army explosives expert were staggering. 12 counts of armed bank robbery, 2 counts of first-degree murder, and federal weapons violations spanning across Oregon and Washington state. Holloway's criminal spree had begun 18 months earlier, in September 2018. His first target was a small community bank in Salem, Oregon. What made Holloway different from typical bank robbers wasn't just his military precision. It was his deadly willingness to kill. During his third robbery in Portland, he gunned down security guard Robert Martinez when the man reached for his radio. 4 months later, in Spokane, he killed another guard, James Thompson, a father of 3 who had simply been doing his job. Federal investigators quickly recognized Holloway's distinctive method of operation. He would enter each bank wearing tactical gear, deploy military-grade smoke grenades to create chaos, and execute the robbery with clockwork timing. Witnesses described a calm, methodical criminal who spoke in military commands and seemed to anticipate every security measure. His explosives training allowed him to neutralize alarm systems before they could alert authorities. By early 2019, Holloway had stolen over $800,000 from banks across 2 states. But the money wasn't what made him the FBI's priority. It was the escalating violence. Agent Sarah Chen of the FBI's Seattle field office, who had taken over the case after the interstate pattern emerged, told reporters that Holloway represented a clear and present danger to public safety. "This isn't someone looking for quick cash," Chen explained. "This is a trained killer using banks as his hunting ground." With each robbery, the body count could rise. The manhunt for Marcus Holloway had officially begun. After robbing his final bank in Spokane on March 8, 2019, Marcus Holloway simply vanished. Security cameras captured him leaving the scene in a stolen Honda Civic, but the vehicle was found abandoned just 6 miles away in a Walmart parking lot. From that point forward, it was as if he had never existed. The FBI's Seattle field office immediately assembled a 15-person task force dedicated to finding Holloway. Agent Sarah Chen coordinated with local law enforcement across both states, deploying teams to interview everyone who had ever known the fugitive. They contacted his former Army unit, tracked down old addresses, and questioned every person in his military records. The investigation consumed thousands of man-hours in its first month alone. Investigators quickly discovered why Holloway was so difficult to track. Unlike most modern criminals, he had maintained virtually no digital footprint, no social media accounts, no credit cards used after his disappearance, no cell phone activity. Bank security footage showed he had always paid cash and never stayed in one location long enough to establish patterns. He was living like it was 1985, Agent Chen would later recall. No digital trail whatsoever. Early leads pointed toward survivalist communities in the Cascade Mountains. Holloway's military background suggested he could survive indefinitely in the wilderness, and several reported sightings came from remote areas of Oregon and Washington. FBI teams spent weeks combing through dense forests and questioning isolated communities, but each lead proved to be a dead end. By March 2020, exactly 1 year after the manhunt began, the task force had followed over 400 tips and conducted more than 800 interviews. They had searched caves, abandoned cabins, and remote campsites across 50,000 square miles of Pacific Northwest wilderness. Yet Marcus Holloway remained a ghost. The trail had gone completely cold, and pressure was mounting from FBI headquarters to reassign resources to more active cases. But Agent Chen refused to give up. By 2021, the search for Marcus Holloway had become one of the FBI's longest-running domestic manhunts. The $250,000 reward posted for information leading to his capture had generated over 5,000 tips from across the country. Agent Chen's task force had been reduced to 8 full-time investigators, but their determination never wavered. The breakthrough moments were agonizingly close, yet frustratingly distant. In August 2021, a convenience store clerk in Bend, Oregon, called police after recognizing Holloway from a wanted poster. By the time FBI agents arrived 3 hours later, surveillance footage confirmed the sighting, but Holloway was long gone. A receipt showed he had purchased camping supplies and paid cash, exactly $47.83. It was the first confirmed sighting in over 2 years. 6 months later, Border Patrol agents at a remote crossing into Canada thought they spotted Holloway and a group of hikers. The area was immediately sealed, and FBI tactical teams deployed helicopters to search the rugged terrain. For 72 hours, agents combed through mountainous wilderness, following footprints and abandoned campsites. They found evidence someone had been living rough in the area for weeks: food caches, improvised shelters, even a military-style latrine. But once again, their quarry had slipped away. It was like chasing smoke, Agent Chen told her supervisors during a case review in late 2022. The investigation had consumed over $2 million in federal resources and involved more than 100 agents across multiple field offices. Some colleagues suggested it was time to scale back the active search, but Chen argued that Holloway's military training and escalating violence made him too dangerous to ignore. The psychological profile developed by FBI behavioral analysts painted a disturbing picture. Holloway wasn't just hiding, he was likely planning something bigger. His pattern suggested a methodical killer who used the bank robberies as practice runs for a larger operation. Somewhere in the vast wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, Marcus Holloway was preparing for his next move. The question wasn't if he would strike again, but when and where. In January 2023, nearly 4 years after Marcus Holloway vanished, the FBI's digital forensics team made a discovery that would change everything. While reviewing cryptocurrency transactions related to the stolen bank funds, analyst Kevin Morrison noticed an unusual pattern. Small amounts of Bitcoin, each under $1,000, had been converted to cash through various online exchanges over the past 3 years. The transactions were brilliantly disguised, spread across dozens of digital wallets, using different exchange platforms, and timed weeks apart to avoid detection algorithms. But blockchain technology never forgets, and Morrison's analysis revealed they all originated from the same source: the $800,000 Holloway had stolen during his bank robbery spree. He thought he was being smart, Morrison later explained, converting small amounts over time, using multiple identities, staying under reporting thresholds. But every transaction left a digital fingerprint. The forensics team worked around the clock, tracing each conversion back through the cryptocurrency networks. The pattern pointed to IP addresses registered to rural internet service providers throughout eastern Washington. Agent Chen felt the familiar surge of adrenaline as the net began to tighten. Cross-referencing the IP locations with utility records, property registrations, and satellite imagery, the team identified 17 possible locations where Holloway might be hiding. Most were remote properties, abandoned buildings, or areas with minimal digital infrastructure, perfect for someone trying to stay invisible. By early February, surveillance teams had been quietly deployed to monitor the most promising locations. They used long-range cameras, motion sensors, and thermal imaging to watch for signs of habitation. For weeks, the operation yielded nothing but wildlife and the occasional hiker. Then on February 28th, thermal imaging detected a heat signature at a remote cabin near Spokane, the same city where Holloway had killed his second victim. The property was registered to a deceased owner, had no utility connections, yet showed signs of recent habitation. Smoke had been spotted from the chimney during winter months, and fresh tire tracks led to a hidden vehicle. After nearly 1,400 days on the run, Marcus Holloway's luck was finally running out. At 4:47 a.m. on March 15, 2023, exactly 4 years after Marcus Holloway had been added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list, federal agents surrounded the remote cabin where he had been hiding. The FBI's hostage rescue team, equipped with night vision and tactical gear, moved silently through the pre-dawn darkness of the Washington forest. Agent Chen coordinated the operation from a command vehicle positioned half a mile away. Given Holloway's military training and history of violence, agents expected armed resistance. Snipers took positions covering all exit routes, while tactical teams approached the cabin from multiple angles. A negotiator was on standby with a bullhorn, prepared for a lengthy standoff. What happened next surprised everyone involved in the manhunt. When tactical agents announced their presence and demanded surrender, the cabin door opened immediately. Marcus Holloway, now 38 years old with a full beard and 20 pounds lighter than his wanted posters, walked out with his hands raised. He offered no resistance, uttered no threats, and seemed genuinely shocked that he had been found. "I knew this day would come eventually," Holloway told agents during his arrest. "I just thought I had more time." Inside the cabin, investigators found detailed journals documenting his 4 years as a fugitive, along with nearly $400,000 in cash and cryptocurrency wallets containing the remainder of his stolen money. The trial of Marcus Holloway was swift and decisive. Faced with overwhelming evidence, including his own written confessions found in the cabin, he pleaded guilty to all federal charges. The families of Robert Martinez and James Thompson, the security guards he had murdered, were present in the courtroom when the judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justice has finally been served, Agent Chen told reporters outside the federal courthouse. This case proves that the FBI never gives up, no matter how long it takes or how far criminals run. Today, Marcus Holloway serves his life sentence at ADX Florence, the federal supermax prison in Colorado. The stolen money has been recovered and returned to the affected banks and victims' families. The manhunt that consumed 4 years and millions of dollars in resources had finally ended where it should, with a dangerous killer behind bars forever.